Day 2. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Midsummer Scream. Warner Brothers Studios has been entertaining the world for over 95 years and is home to some of the most iconic horror films of all time. In 2016, the studio's Hollywood tour debuted its own Halloween experience, Horror Made Here, which has rapidly grown in size and popularity. This year, Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood unveils its biggest Horror Made Here production yet, as the company takes its place among Southern California's major Halloween attractions. Please welcome your host, Warner Brothers Studio Tour Guide, John Karunas.
What's happening, Midsummer Scream? How you doing? Are you guys excited? We'll see you at Halloween. Have a great time. Just kidding. Thank you so very much for being here. Thank you, Midsummer Scream. Again, hi, my name is John Karunas, and yes, I give tours. I'm a tour guide over at Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. And we are immensely proud and crazy excited to talk about everything that we have coming up. But before we start to break down what we've got, let's introduce the rest of the team. Please give it up for our marketing director, Gary Sola. Keep that going for our executive director, Danny Kahn. We've also got our creative director and overall horror attraction expert, Bonnie Holloman. And the producer of Horror Made Here, a festival of frights from Planet C. Go to for Michael Coroni. Thank you, panel. Thank you so much for being here. Before we start to really break down this year's Horror Made Here, a festival of frights, we're going to look at not only what we've got in store, but kind of a brief look at the history of Warner Brothers scaring audiences for 85 years. And then let's talk about what's in store for this year. Let's check it out. Let's talk about the evolution of the genre and where you see the genre going for our studio.
Well, you know, the genre is great, and it's alive with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers really owns horror when you think about it. I was just on Box Office Mojo last week, getting ready for the event, and saw that we have five of the most grossing top pictures out of the top 10 for horror. So the genre is great, and New Line Cinema, you know, the house that Freddie built, you know, is right smack dab in the middle of our lot and part of our company. So it really is exciting to see where the genre is going with everything that they're doing with The Nun coming up, It Chapter 2 next year. So, and the list goes on and on. And it's terrific to be able to have those IPs under our belt.
Absolutely. I mean, you watch that clip and you see just hit after icon after icon. What in your opinion, and I want to open this up to everybody, what in your opinion makes for a lasting horror film? What makes a scary movie?
I know for myself, and this goes back to when I was 13, which is only a few years ago, watching The Exorcist, and I had nightmares for 6 months after watching The Exorcist. And yesterday I saw Linda Blair, and when I saw her, I got chills, and it just brought back so much. So I think, you know, something about a horror film that just has that authentic, you know, there's a story behind it. For me, it's always about the possession, because those seem somewhat real. And, you know, it just sticks with you. I mean, it stuck with me for 6 months. And even, you know, when we watched it, we were planning Exorcist Forbidden screening, Karoni and I were texting back and forth. We were watching, like, oh my God, we have to do that. And it stuck with me. You know, that's almost 20 years ago. So.
I feel like it's got to be relatable. When I watch a movie, I have to feel like it could happen to me, and that's what always gets under my skin. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, my days in Catholic school made Exorcist even more terrifying, and just infuriating and horrifying. Yeah, I think it's finding the old but new. I know that's kind of a phrase that gets backed around here in Hollywood a lot, is the old but new. And the genre is an ever-growing, ever-evolving genre. And so we all go into these horror films knowing what we expect and what we want, and we need those boxes to be checked. But then we also need something we didn't expect. We also need the surprise. We need the old, but we need the new. And it's getting harder and harder to do because the audience is getting smarter and smarter and growing and evolving the film. But when a film can actually do that, like for me, actually, I rewatched Conjuring the other day, and it's terrifying. And it's wonderful, and it's one of our properties we're going to do, and it checks the old and the new.
100%. I have the same thing when you just have those lasting experiences. For me, when I watched it the first time in movie theaters, I didn't realize until halfway through the movie that I had my sweater up over half of my face. I realized, come on, man, you could do better than that. Don't let it scare you. And to talk about, you know, we've come such a long way since the first horror made here, just a couple of years ago. Can we talk about the growth of this event and where it started and where we are now and what we're about to do?
Yes, this is our third year doing Horror Made Here. Our first year, it was pretty simple. We had a screening of Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2, and we did a night tour and showed people around the back lot.
It was really started out with the idea was, let's do a Twilight tour and take people around the lot because it's so creepy being there, just the lights off.
Yeah, and then Kevin Tsujihara, our CEO, gave us a challenge. He said, you know, we really need to go bigger. We own these great IPs. Let's do something bigger on the lot. And so last year we did Horror Made Here Festival of Frights with The Conjuring, with the Neibold House that we repurposed from Hollywood Boulevard, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, it was really terrific. It surprised, I think, everybody, including ourselves. You know, we had a smaller audience, so we took advantage of that. You know, and we were able to really tell stories throughout these mazes. We didn't want to have a conga line with jump scares along the way. We really wanted to be faithful to the director's visions from these films that we were, you know, bringing to life and letting our fans walk through. And I think that we hit it out of the park. People came for the It Maze, which was great, and you know, it was a little bit proven from our marketing efforts to promote the film. But they were talking about The Conjuring. I think it was all about the reveal that we did.
Who came last year? Who's coming this year?
I think I did good.
Who wants to party on a back lot? Well, this is our back lot.
Looks like a party.
But
that's exactly what it's going to look like when you're there.
But just to give you a sense, and I hope I can figure out the geometry from up here. So this is hallowed ground. The church you see there was in Lost Boys. The house straight ahead at the end of the block there, that was in Gremlins. That's Miss Deagle's house. Remember when Miss Deagle flies out of the window and lands on the street? That's the house she flew out of. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the house is no longer there, but it's hallowed ground. It was filmed here as well.
Monster Squad.
Yes. Right next to that church is where the vortex would be in the sky. Right there. Gremlins, Annabelle Creation, it's all right there.
Also, but the list goes on and on. You know, the lot really is, you know, it's a shooting location, and as we're going into the jungle on the regular tour, you know, people stop and freak out that they're in front of Murlock's Bar and Grill.
Well, let's show them what it's going to look like.
Do it.
Ooh, the party on the back lot. This is our vision of the party. As you can see on the right, we have Fantasia. I know for those of you who are in the Queen Mary thing, you are all about bars. We have Fantasia. Fantasia is our main bar. And you can see there we have the Arkham Asylum, we have the Neibold House, we have a Devil's Drop Tower in the center, so you'll get to drive 100 feet up in the air and have a panoramic view of the studio. That's our church where The Exorcist will take place, and then you can see Seymour's arms are hanging out there to the left of your screen. That's our little shop of horrors where we'll have exclusive Horror Made Here merchandise.
Amazing.
Signing up
Yeah.
for True Blood with a back-to-back.
Yeah. And what's so, and this is I think the point that not only I want to stress, but I think that we want to stress, is that it's in the space.
Yeah,
That
it's hallowed ground, it really is.
You're doing it there, and I think that that's very reminiscent, and it goes hand in hand with the tour and with who we are. That it's about doing it there where it happened, with the real stuff, you know, the real costumes, the real props, as real as it can get, and that's what I think makes this so special. What else do you think sets this apart from other things in Southern California?
Well, I think you just touched on one of the biggest elements, John, was you know, as you're going through some of these mazes, you know, we're using the set pieces, the set walls from it in the Nightbelt house to recreate the maze. Same thing with Conjuring. You know, a lot of the props and the set decoration elements were you know, from the film also. Same with our Stage 48 script to screen. It's an interactive sound stage that you have a chance to go through as part of this event. And we're actually going to have, thank you for advancing the slide, a tribute to Tim Burton this year.
Yeah, so if you've been, so the one thing about this event, so this is a separate ticketed event. It's not part of the regular studio tour. It's 13 nights, and we'll get to that at the end of our presentation, running from 7 p.m. to 1 in the morning. But the one element from the regular tour that'll be open is what we normally call script to screen. We've renamed it script to scream. And it'll be featuring, we'll be featuring props, costumes, and original set pieces from Mars Attacks, from Sweeney Todd, from Corpse Bride, and for the first time ever, Beetlejuice. So we've just pulled this from our archive. We have all of the statues that you saw in the film. We actually have a shrimp cocktail arm. It's absolutely incredible. We're really, really excited about that.
30th anniversary of Beetlejuice this year. 30th anniversary. No better time than right now. So what do you see?
Saw that movie at the drive-in when we had a drive-in.
What do you see happening for Horror Made here, at least over the next couple of years or the coming years, and why is it important to go now?
Well, you know, what really is important to go now? We're a small attraction when you think about it, and we do have limited numbers, so this is really a special event for our fans. As Gary made mention to earlier, it's a part of the back lot. We can only have so many people in that back lot also, so it's a handful of people instead of the masses, and we want to keep it that way also. So this really is a defining year for us as a company. To you know, we're invested in our horror brand, in Horror Made Here also, but it's still very, very small, and it's just growing at this point.
That's, again, to go back to the whole special aspect of it. If you've ever taken the tour, done anything on the lot, it is about the experience, it's about the intimacy, it's about making it about you. Tailor-made scares just for you this time around.
And also, I mean, you know, some of the haunts that we're doing this year are just fantastic. We're going to start talking about some of the mazes, and we already made mention of a few, but these are mazes you absolutely don't want to miss, featuring some of the most beloved and horrifying characters that you can think of.
Okay, let's get into it.
And there's two of them.
It's time. All right, Michael, tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the Conjuring universe this year.
Well, like Danny said, last year was really exciting to be able to do The Conjuring. We kind of went through the film and really kind of dug into trying to figure out, you know, what are the scares? What kind of gets you there? You know, maybe not the most obvious jumps or whatnot, but what is it in the film series that gets you? So being able to use the lot and being able to kind of be in the space where, I mean, even the church right there was used in Annabelle Creation. You know, so you're there. You're using the props that are in the archives from the film, and you're able to, you know, put you in the film in a way, and that's kind of what the kind of overarching idea is to keep you kind of in that same zone or in that same feeling when you go into the film and kind of see some of those iconic moments that you see. And for those of you that were there last year, we did a number of the kind of key moments from The Conjuring and Annabelle. We got to pass through the crayon room. The demon made an appearance, and we'll be doing a lot of that. But this year it's going to be a little bit bigger. Instead of using, you know, just 2 areas, which is what we used last year, we're expanding it out into a bigger area. We're going to have some active waiting. There'll be stuff going on while you're waiting in the queue. So, you know, we're just making you think, I don't want to give too much away. There's some there's some good scares in there.
For those of you waiting for The Nun comes out September 7th. And when you're waiting in line, make sure you keep your eyes open for little Easter eggs from The Nun.
It's already giving stuff away.
I'm just saying Easter eggs.
I was so proud of the Conjuring walkthrough last year. I can only imagine what it's going to be. What do we have going on here?
Well, this was from last year. This was some of the early concept art from last year. This was one of the rooms where we wanted to have a kind of an amalgam of the scenes. And this was a particularly terrifying room for some people, as you can see, if you can't see in the middle. As you walk in this room, Annabelle is staring you dead in the eyes, and that definitely took people aback. And the cool thing about this room is once you get in there, you know, it's not a line. It's not just a pass through. We have a guide that's taking you through, a paranormal expert that's kind of giving you some of the details about it. And when you get in that room, you realize there's no way out.
Great. And I would also like to say that the Annabelle is the Annabelle from the films. It's the real Annabelle doll from the movies.
John, tell them the story about Annabelle.
Yeah, so we
on the tour.
There have been legitimate experiences with Annabelle that people will attest to from the studio. There is, whenever we have the Halloween events and we bring the case out, there is security footage of her case just casually opening on its own. And there was also somebody who had to move Annabelle. They had to move her from her case to a different display case. By the time she put Annabelle down, her arms were all scratched up inexplicably. This is real, people. These are real things.
It's also really scary at the end of the night. You know, we don't leave Annabelle in there because you know, it's a very valuable actual doll. So there's always it was Mary last year from our special events team, but you'd see her, you know, pitch black midnight walking through holding this Annabelle doll. It was kind of a scary sight.
All right, I bet you guys don't know what's coming up next.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
This. I know that I speak for myself, and I probably speak for a lot of people here. I can't wait for this because I think it's amazing, and I think it's perfect to finally see horror reach out into the DC brand. The fact that those two connect down.
The DC gaming brand, I mean, for me, this is like a dream come true. As a horror fan, I got horror tattoos, but anybody that knows me knows I'm an avid gamer too. So this is like the marriage of both worlds for me.
I think it's so exciting, the fact that you can go to a horror event and Arkham Asylum is there. That's pinnacle for me and I think a lot of people. So what can we expect from Escape from Arkham Asylum?
Yeah, absolutely. So because we are basing this on the DC game, we're really going on an atmospheric adventure. It's all about the atmosphere. It's that twisted, deep, winding adventure that you go on when you kind of delve into that storyline for the game. We are really leaning on Joker. Joker is going to help us out and kind of invite us in. And what we really like about this so much is that a lot of times in haunts, when you have a maze or an asylum or a jail setting, a lot of times the plot is, oh, well, you're going there for some reason, you're going on a visit or something, and then whoops, everything goes wrong, and now the inmates are running the asylum. You're not a visitor here. You are an Arkham inmate. So you basically go to trial, the Joker deems you nefarious enough to be locked up in the Arkham Asylum, you hear those gates close behind you, and it is you as an inmate on your own trying to make your way through this asylum, which is a lot of fun, and it's really deep and twisted, and just as the Jokers are judge and jury, and he might, I'm not going to say too much, he might sentence you there, but it also might help you break out. So we'll leave it at that, and we're relating to that Joker, but we see a lot of other favorite characters along the way as well.
I want to hug you because I'm so excited.
It's going to be so much fun.
Another cool thing about it is, and Danny spoke about it, you know, the smaller numbers that we're trying to keep this to, and being able to have a little bit more intimate experience. You'll have a little bit more time to explore through there. We've got some things that you kind of can't do in traditional mazes, and things that'll switch up and kind of different versions of the maze kind of multiple times as you pass through.
Yeah,
That's absolutely.
One thing that Karoni and Bonnie, you told us the other day when we were talking, this is really theater in the round. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, we keep kind of throwing that around a lot, and it is a gift. You know, so there's so many attractions around Halloween. You know, in Los Los Angeles, and all of them are wonderful in each their own way. And this one, like we keep saying, it's going to be small, it's going to be intimate, and because of that, it allows us to do what we are kind of calling theater in the round. Our actors can move around a little bit. We're not going to have conga lines that are going through mazes. Our actors can move around a little bit. They can scare you in different locations. They can move throughout the maze. It is it's a different, intimate Halloween experience.
I think something I've been saying too is, last year, the authenticity that we bring, the storytelling that we bring from as a studio tour, we obviously inserted that into Horror Made Here. But for the Conjuring maze last year, I knew where all the scares were. I mean, I knew who was coming out of the wall when, but it was different every time, and I jumped every single time. I knew when things were going to happen, and it just scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I was with Dark Harbor for many, many years, and still love them and represent, and we'll be there. I cannot wait to see it. And when we first started doing meetings about this, and we were listening to kind of some of the scares that you guys did last year and that we're planning for this year, I was like, oh no, that won't work. And it's like, yes, it will work because it's so intimate and small. You're really getting a show, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love the use of the word experience, and that it really is that. As a studio, as a tour, it's always been about the story and it's about the connection. And I think that it's all signs point to yes so far. What do we have next? Yes. The greatest mashup title that I could possibly see. Okay, so Danny. We're known for the studio tour, but I want to talk about Horror Made Here studio tour and what's in store for guests who go to Nightmare on Camp Crystal Lake.
So we do have this night tour as part of our offering, and the night tour takes you all throughout the Warner Brothers backlot. And one of the stops there, I was mentioning before, where we have our the supplemental lots, is actually our jungle, complete with a lake and a lake house and a couple of structures that could easily resemble camp counselors' offices, maybe. And it's one of the highlights of our night tour. Guests are going to be able to come through, take a stroll through Camp Crystal Lake at the midway point of our studio tour and see our jungle like they've never been able to see it before.
Sleeping bags not required.
It's the perfect setting though. If you've ever seen the jungle set at WB, it was born to play Camp Crystal Lake at some point. This is again the whole theater in the round, being a camper. This is, if you don't know where to find me during Horror Made Here, I'm going to be at Camp Crystal Lake. That's what I'm going to be. Are there any other things that we should be keeping an eye out for with this attraction?
I think that, Corona, do you want to talk a little bit about Camp Crystal Lake?
I don't want to give anything away, but the jungle is a place that we've kind of gone through a few times at night. And actually, my first job ever was working on that jungle in Budweiser Frogs commercial. If you remember those, crawling around in the lagoon, and and it's Horror Made Here, and you get these ideas, and you go to Warner Brothers, and you go, hey, is it cool if we do this? And they say yes. And you're like, oh, geez, we can do this.
Well, the jungle's creepy anyway. I mean, the jungle's creepy on a regular night.
We walked through a number of times at night, and it's great by itself. So, and then just to be able to bring, both Jason and Freddie into that space, and it'll really be kind of an alternate experience from really feeling like you are, at Camp Crystal Lake and in a definite, obvious nightmare. So, and there's a lot of good stops along the way. There's some exteriors, there's some interiors. It's going to be a really unique experience.
John, you were talking about components of a good story before, and or what makes a good horror film, and I was thinking it really is the story, and the story that builds suspense and drives tension. You really get that sense of it as you're creeping around through our jungle and just waiting for the next jump scare around the corner.
You could literally just drive through at night with nothing and it would be scary. I've done it. We'll talk about that later. All right.
Security, we'll stop.
All right, let's talk about what's next. It is back. Okay, what are the differences between what we experienced last year and what's coming up?
we're super leaning into kind of this catchline, it knows what scares you, and we really wanted to embrace just the fears of the kids in the films. So instead of, we didn't want to do an It book report, everyone's seen it, there's a new one that's coming out, everyone knows it, everyone loves it, everyone's here because of it. We wanted to really kind of just target those fears, and how does Pennywise manifest nightmares for these people, and we wanted to pull people into those nightmares and really scare the crap out of them. So, and I think we're going to do it. And we, of course, have a new film coming out. So you should take a look around as you're going through the maze and look for some Easter eggs that might give a wink and a nod and a nudge to the next film.
That is if you can keep your eyes open while walking through the maze. Yes, yes. I mean, it was such a huge hit last year. Which door are you
You
going
have to
for?
choose one of those doors.
Nothing happens
Spoiler
though.
alert.
They're just, they are the real doors from the movie though, that's the cool thing. So when you come through this maze, you are walking to the real doors from the movie.
And yes, you do have to choose.
Yeah, there's no going back.
Gary, which one are you going for?
I'm gonna try scary, I think.
Scary, just middle of the road.
Right down the
guy, huh?
center.
Right down the center. Always choose,
Is it reverse psychology?
I don't know.
Alright, I guess we'll find out. I think everybody's excited to have it back because the house in Hollywood was a huge hit, and then moving into Warner Brothers was a huge hit, and the fact that it's back.
But just to be, just to be clear, reminder, this is not the same house that we had last year. This is not the house that was on Hollywood Boulevard and Vine. This is a new, reimagined experience on our back lot. It's bigger, it's expanded, active waiting. The scares start from the moment you get in line.
Yeah, we saw that it was such a big hit last year also, and our Midwest Street looks just like Derry, Maine, so we decided, wouldn't we want to start this in Derry and then make our way into the evil house towards the finale of this? So that's exactly what we've done.
With Georgie's aplenty, I'm sure.
Missing arms and all.
Okay, I think church is in session. Send me to church, guys. The Exorcist Forbidden Screening. Michael, what is going on?
Really don't think we should talk about this. I don't it's sacrilegious even to talk about. So we have the Midwest Church. It's kind of the main centerpiece of Midwest Street, and we thought, where else to do a short little screening of one of the scariest films of all time, but a church. So I'm not gonna say too much about this, but guests who are willing to risk eternal damnation will be able to queue up, come sit in some queues, and watch some of the scariest moments of the scariest film of all time, and hope that nothing goes wrong.
All we'll say, it's a 4D experience.
A demonic 4D experience.
4D.
You're gonna feel all for it. Bonnie and I are good. We went to Catholic school as kids, so we're all
I
right.
love that my Catholic school relates to me putting on this.
My dad saw this movie on a date, and he told me that he walked the lady home, and then he said, once I dropped her off, I sprinted home to my house.
I think everyone here probably has an Exorcist story at one point or another. I remember running out of my TV room that I would sneak into to watch TV late at night, and the commercial came on, and I don't think I've been back in that room since.
I wasn't allowed to watch the movie, so of course I was home alone the day before Halloween when I was 12. I watched the movie, and I've never regretted it. Scared me ever since. So, Gary, what can we have that's new? What can we talk about that's new in terms of packages for this year?
Well, there's a couple things too. So, just in addition to what we talked about up front on the party on the back lot, we have a Lost Boys retro arcade. So you'll be able to take a step back into the 80s and have some fun. We have our center stage. We've had a seance. We've called Betty Davis. We've called to her. And I think she's coming, and she may bring Joan. So keep an eye out on center stage. They may make an appearance. We've got tons of food. Something new this year. So I talked about Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd exhibit. We're also going to have Mrs. Lovett's Pie Shop. So we'll be serving priest and grocer and a few other things potentially. But also,
We also have split pea soup from
oh, and we'll have Reagan split pea soup. But it'll be very delicious. I promise you that. But we actually have a lot more food options. We're not doing food trucks this year. We have a whole culinary experience for everyone really to enjoy. But we also listened. Last year, we asked for people were asking for a VIP. So this year, losers rule. Yes. So if you join the Losers Club, it's a $169 ticket. You get front-of-line access to each of our mazes and the drop tower, 2 free beverages, an IT photo op experience. It'll be you imposed on a missing person's picture to take home, as well as priority parking if you decide to drive. So all of our tickets go on sale August 1st. Festival of Frights, it's 13 nights, 5th to the 6th, 12th to the 14th, 18th to the 21st, and 25th through the 28th. As I mentioned, tickets go on sale. However, sign up for our updates by midnight tonight. You'll get a special email where we're going to mail you a special $10 off offer, pre-sale only. Before everything else goes on sale, it'll be limited inventory. We have only a small percentage of our tickets for sale. We'll send that out on Monday morning. So go to our website, horrormadehere.com. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter, and we will email you a special promotion code Monday morning.
I think we're going to be opening up to some questions now.
If there's anybody with any questions regarding this year's horror...
Wait, actually, before we do the questions, we are also still casting. So if you guys are interested, if anyone wants to come in and audition, just contact hmhcasting@myco2.com. We're going to have a casting call August 11th and 12th. And this information is also available at the booth. So if you want to go down and grab it at the flyer at the booth, it'll give you all that you need to know.
Does anyone have any questions for us?
Right here, Decade Hat.
Will you have a Joker walk-around character?
Will we have a Joker walk-around character?
We have Joker actors in the maze, so you will be able to encounter Joker.
A number of them. Yes, right behind.
So I'm like a huge diehard fan of The Shining, and I'm just curious if you guys would ever consider doing a Shining maze.
I love that film, and that's actually some of the plans that we have been talking about as to how to leverage The Shining a little bit more. So stay tuned, my friend.
Right here in the front row.
The Exorcist, are you going to show the entire movie or just selected scenes?
It's just the best scenes. It's about an 8-minute experience, right? It's about an 8-minute experience, but just the best. It's not the whole movie. Yeah.
We got one in the aisle right over here.
All right, is there going to be a Pennywise walk-around character? There will be plenty of Pennywise characters that'll be hanging out there. Again, we're really leaning into the fears that he kind of manifests, and so we can't do that without him.
Don't you worry. I want to go to the far side of the front section here.
We know other studios have used your IPs. Are you going to be more restricted with what you guys have?
I'm sorry, the question is... Oh, yeah, I really do think that, Warner Brothers is, we do have the best horror IPs, and that is our plan, is to leverage them and use them for Horror here.
Right here in the front. Hi. Is there going to be a Batman? I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's really John.
Now we do. We are not going to be utilizing Batman per se in the maze, but we have hints and nods to his presence and to his presence in the DC universe.
Awesome. On the aisle, on the end.
Sorry, I was a little confused. Are you guys giving a night tour as well, or is it just you go to that area and walk over there?
So it's actually it's a combination. You have to get on the night tour, and we drop you off at Camp Crystal Lake, and you're on your own, and then you continue your night tour through some of our amazing historical sites where Vincent Price's House of Wax was filmed, whatever happened to Baby Jane, and see parts of the lot.
But that is if you make it through Camp Crystal Lake.
Only if you survive Camp Crystal Lake.
Then you get the tour as a prize.
And
yes,
so
sir, over here.
just to clarify also, it's an abbreviated version of our standard tour, so the standard tour runs a bit longer.
This question is for each of you. Is there a specific Warner Brothers IP that each of you is dying to do something for?
Yes.
That's a great question.
The Shining for me, but...
The Shining for me, too.
I want to go a little deeper on The Exorcist. I think we're just scratching the surface this year, and it's terrific. I want to keep on looking at that and seeing how far we can get down the rabbit hole.
I want to go classic and see something bigger with House of Wax. I think that could be really fun.
I want to go deep into A Nightmare with Freddy. That's what I want. Right here.
Hi. Big fan of Lost Boys. Are there going to be characters and photo ops at the arcade, or just arcade games?
You know, right this year it's just arcade games, but Lost Boys is terrific. Also, I think somebody mentioned on the panel that Lost Boys was actually filmed by the studio on that street. So for Lost Boys fans, you're going to definitely recognize the surroundings. But yeah, it's an arcade that you can go in there and be with me because I'm going to be playing video games all night, I'm sure. So
I mean, I think you can see from our reel, there's so many. Our problem is that we've got so many good properties that we love to tap into. Lost Boys is for sure one. We mentioned Shining. There's a lot of older films that would be great to be able to explore and let people step into. So I think there's a long runway here.
Horror made here for the future. Right here in the middle. Will we be incorporating Gremlins?
You'll see a little bit of Gremlins around. There's no major attraction, but there'll definitely be some hints of Gremlins.
We had that last year too. Hints of Gremlins. It's terrifying.
It'd be cool to do a Gremlins type of movies.
Yeah.
Right there, on the aisle.
Hello. Do you ever anticipate Harry Potter being incorporated into the next movie?
How do we answer this?
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
Actually, it is funny that you say that because there have been talks with the folks that over at Global Brand Management to incorporate in the future to this event. So, to what extent we'll have to see, but we would absolutely love to be able to do that.
Dark Arts
In the back, towards the back, with your hands stretching oh so high, right there on the aisle.
Two quickie questions. First one, so it's a tour then free roam, right? And then, so like you do the abbreviated and then you get to just go do what you want, right?
Yeah, it's really a party on the back lot, so you can spend as much, we're open from 7 p.m. till 1 a.m. You can spend as much time as you like on the back lot at our Midwestern where we have a party, and then the tour branches out, so you can ride the night tour, go through Crystal Lake and come back to the party when you're done.
Pick up and drop off at the party.
You start off at Midwest Street. That's kind of the hub of the whole experience, and from there you kind of have access to all the different attractions. One of them being the night tour in Camp Crystal Lake, which is you get on, you go to Camp Crystal Lake, and you make it back. You get to go through a little bit of night tour, and then you're back at the hub.
And you had another question as well?
Yeah, this one's about the Arkham one. Is there any creative involvement with like Rocksteady or Mark Hamill on how to do a Joker in the Arkham setting?
We're working well, Bonnie can take this also, but we're working really closely with the folks over at DC Entertainment to make sure that this is the experience that fans expect to see.
As well as the game designers. We've actually shared the deck with them, and they've actually given us some great input, so we are working with the game designers as well.
Maybe.
Keep your eye on it.
We'll have to come and see.
I'll do it.
You're too hairy for Chris Batman.
I'm just going to bounce back and forth. Right here in the middle.
Harry Quinn.
I wanted to ask, considering this is a festival of frights, in the Arkham Maze, will Scarecrow or Spirit Toxin be there?
Quite possibly. You'll have to come check it out.
That's the answer.
We don't want to spoil it for everyone, but it is filled with super villains. It's filled with super villains.
Right here.
You won't be disappointed.
Hello. With the VIP experiences, there going to be unlimited access to the experiences, or is it just going to be kind of like other theme parks with only one-time access?
Each maze will be one-time access, just to make it fair for everyone.
Otherwise, just keep going through Arkham again and again and again. Right here in the front corner, you have a question.
So 2 drinks.
But 2 free drinks, free parking.
Sorry. My question is, what in the future do you plan to do deeper for The Exorcist, if you can hint at it in any way?
Possession for all. I think we're going for it.
Quite honestly, we just don't know yet, but I would love to see a walkthrough, scare maze attraction featuring Exorcist. I think that'd be a lot of fun with other movie elements like what we're doing this year.
Yeah, I think Danny was just saying, it's a shorter experience this time. It'll definitely be intense. It might be enough for many of you, and you won't want to see it again. but yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously a great property. There's a lot there. So
over here.
I saw the picture of the background, and there's a ride. Are there going to be rides at the Warner Brothers?
We've got.
So we do. We have the Devil's Drop Tower. That'll be in the middle of our festival, and so we're not a theme park. We're a working studio, but we thought we'd bring in this really cool element just to give really good perspective of the studio lot from 100 feet up, and then drop you down to the bottom and make your stomach flat jerk.
Yes, in the same line.
Beautiful view of the water tower as well. So.
Yes. When did Horror Made Here Festival of Frights at Warner Bros. Studio Tour Hollywood starts this fall, correct?
First date is October 5th.
October 5th, yeah. Yes. I'll put that slide back up.
There we go. Those are the dates. 7 to 1 a.m.
Back here, also in the same section.
Oh, for this particular one will actually only be for performers, but I actually don't know the information for working backstage. Is there anyone they can talk to?
For backstage is going to be handled a little bit differently, and we don't have a casting process for that. But if you are interested in becoming this character, please come and talk to Bonnie and us. We'd love to be able to speak with you.
Thank you.
Right here in the front. Fantasia?
Yeah, I mean it's a walk-in themed experience. You'll recognize the place. It's not going to be a place that we want you necessarily staying in and lounging too long. There's a lot of stuff to do, so it'll be the kind of the hub where you can get your beverages and get a little taste of True Blood.
Just a little one. Yeah, right here.
It depends. We have some that are a little bit longer than others. Our Conjuring has grown. It has grown. So it's a little bit of a hard question to answer, but you've got a wide variety of experiences that you should be looking forward to.
And it will vary a little for each group. Groups are going in smaller groups. They'll have a little bit of time to explore and move through the mazes. I'd say probably the longest one might be out at Camp Crystal Lake, just because there's a lot of territory to cover.
And you're on foot.
And there's danger.
Somebody's trying to kill you.
Psychopathic killer and thing.
Right here in the front.
Any chance of a Beetlejuice maze coming in the future?
We've talked about that in our planning sessions earlier this year, like in January, February. We're like, what can we do with Beetlejuice? I sort of imagined an intimate dinner, an intimate family dinner, and the whole thing comes to life, but not for this year, but definitely that would be something that would be really cool.
Now I just want to start steaming.
But this really is an event that we plan to grow and develop and evolve in the future. So, at this point, really anything's possible for us. We're still at the infancy of this whole offering.
Right here.
Will there be a nun character walking around the mazes?
You have to come check it out. I would say we think it would be a massive missed opportunity if we did not include that, but I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yes, ma'am, right here.
What inspired you guys to want to start the haunts?
It really was, we saw that there was just such incredible potential from the market, and that the fans wanted it, and we answered that. And when you look at just like the scissor roll that we played earlier, some of our IP, it just makes all the sense in the world to do. So that's really what compelled us to do this.
Yeah, with such a vast library of horror films, we felt it was a missed opportunity. You know, like I mentioned earlier, the tour is all about authenticity and storytelling. We thought that this would be a great platform for us to actually do that.
And to have the support from the filmmakers also, you know, everybody from New Line visited us last year, and you know, it was thrilling to see some of their top directors and producers and the president of New Line Cinema herself, you know, go through the mazes and just have so much fun. So the company is supporting us, and it feels so good to have that type of support.
James Wan came through our Conjuring maze, and he was blown away. I mean, it was, what did he say?
I told him, I said, okay, if we can scare you, then I'm going to drop the mic and get out of here, which I think I'm going to do in a second anyway. And he and Dave Newstatter and Walter Mata and the whole, you know, the group that he was with ran out of the last scene from Conjuring terrified, and it was the best day of my life.
I would almost say that when it comes to this event, it was about time. It was, I think, long overdue. Yes, young man.
Will we see the leper and the painting lady at all during the event?
Oh, that's a great question.
That
Bonnie,
is a
give him
great
something.
question. All right.
Go for it.
Yes.
Love it. If you're paying attention.
Right. Yes, here in the middle.
Hi, one last question. I want to ask, if given the chance, would you consider buying another IP to make into a maze? Like, you're entering video game territory, which I was wondering, and I've always wanted to see this possibly Outlast.
You know, anything's really possible at this point. To answer your question directly, I don't know at this point, but if there is an appetite and if it does fit into the brand, it's a possibility.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, and it is horror made here, and we're really drawing on that. And you know, everybody that works at the studio, working on TV and features every day, they're all kind of pulled together and help make all of this happen. So it's really a cool kind of chance to be at the ground floor of this event. It's growing. I think kind of every year you'll see more and more of these properties that you're all asking about.
Let's do a little test market. Danny and I had an idea for a maze that we didn't get it into it got the cuts here. What about an I Am Legend maze? Oh. So we have a New York street. We have New York street. So would that be something that'd be interesting? Okay.
House of Wax?
Which one? Monster Squad. I love it.
We have horror made here for years.
Keep the ideas coming. Yes, right here in the corner.
Will there be any age restrictions at all?
Yeah, so this event is designed for 13 and up. It's very intense. It's very intense scares, so we do recommend 13 and up, and that's a requirement for us.
I think we have time for one more question. She's been raising her hand and waiting so patiently.
Hi. Is the script to Scream on separate nights?
So Script to Scream is going to be offered through for our attraction, it'll be offered through the month of October. For the our Horror Made Here nights, you know, those nights are starting on the 5th. Those 13 nights, I think we have them up on the screen. But you know, if you want to come by and visit the studio tour, you'll be able to see that in our Script to Screen area, the Tim Burton exhibit all throughout the month.
And if you have any more questions, we'll be down at our booth downstairs. It's right inside the Hall of Hall of Horror.
Hall of Shadows.
Hall of Shadows. Wrong place. We're right inside there. We'll be happy to answer your questions.
We just want to thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Midsummer Screen.
Sign up for a newsletter. You get a special discount.